Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/getstarted for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
In a world where insanity reigns supreme and safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, it's comforting to know an ancient, fat, long-haired, bearded reprobate has your mind in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, and despite every attempt by the SHR Media Network to revoke his shameless contract, we return to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Oh, you magnificent bastard, I read your book.
I drink your milkshake.
How dare you?
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Of course you realize this means war.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I'm broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, over spelled with a K, a mere 2 miles east of the locus of evil on the entire left coast. The Bill Mill, the belly of the beast, the Capitol building in downtown Sacramento at 10th and L Streets, and at the end of the show, when I exit the plush, resplendent, sumptuous, and palatial SHR Media Studios, I'll be smelling the odoriferous stench of sulfur, brimstone, and evil emanating from downtown Sacramento. Be forewarned. What you're about to hear for the next 2 hours consists of my opinion and no one else's. The Saloon is serving stiff drinks, facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, intent, and common sense out both the front and the back doors, depending on the fear porn quotient, depending on what day it is. After all, it's California, always spelled with a K. Remember this also. Remember, we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, race, sex, science, economics, law. We talk about it all right here at the Saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. This is 2021. I'm done with bipartisanship and compromise, and understand, I am also done with the Republican Party. This is the new age of modern political warfare. Gaslighting, lies, massive hypocrisy, half-truth threats, and all on the part of the Democrats, leftists, anarchists, aided and abetted by the propaganda organs, the American media maggots. They have all declared we are on an open war footing against you. 2021 will be the year of retribution, revenge, and punishment of conservatives by Democrats. So let there be no mistake. I love my country, but abjure its leftist leaders and anyone who won't put America and her lawful citizens first. Obey the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, uphold the rule of law, and embrace due process. Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots say that makes me a white supremacist, along with all the other various colors of Trump voters, supporters, and conservatives. You know what? If that makes, if loving my country and all of that makes me an extremist, then so be it. Tonight in the Saloon, my co-host is KATE KRUZEWSKI. She has been on before. She needs no introduction, yet Kate is going to get an introduction. Kate, are you there, madame?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. We'll get Kate right back after this. We'll play, by the way, if Kate is not here, as I promised everybody, we're going to be listening to the mating call of the female chinchilla. Okay, and also we'll be examining the sex life, as I wrote here in chat. We'll be examining the sex life of the salamander, and I will, in fact, be playing a parakeet training record.
I will make sure I am here.
Yeah, and we'll also, like I also wrote in chat, we're going to be talking about salamander pyloric cecum. You are the pyloric cecum of my life, baby. Somebody in chat said, I had that in college once. It starts out as a rash. That could be. That very well could be. Now I'm looking at Facebook. I customarily look at Facebook to see if people are watching the show. I can't see all the damn comments, thank you very much, Facebook. I really appreciate that. Now Facebook is telling me couldn't play video, meaning I can't monitor this live streaming on Facebook. It says, this is the customary Facebook. We don't know what happened. It said, something went wrong. You can exit the video and try again. Something. Now, they never tell you what it is. Something went wrong. Twitter. Something went wrong. That's as close as you're going to get. You know what, though? I have to tell you. This always makes me laugh. This doesn't have a damn thing to do with the show, but it always makes me laugh because if you thought that the American media maggots weren't stupid and that they're newsreaders, then I think we should refresh our minds with this once again. Because let's start the show off with just a little bit of levity. Can we please?
We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Li Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday. We have new...
I am such a simpleton. I love that. KATE KRUZEWSKI, I shouldn't be laughing at that, should I? That's very
I have no
serious.
idea what you're talking about.
That's very serious stuff.
That's the first time I've heard that.
Are you serious?
Good Lord.
Okay,
Can you play that again?
Okay, sure I will, but let me give you some background on this, because it was a bad thing that happened. This is, 2013, 2014, right around in there. San Francisco, SFSO, an Asiana flight was coming in, I think it was a 767, was coming into SFO, San Francisco Airport, Flight 214. The thing crashed, because I've watched the documentary on this a ton of times. It crashed because the pilots didn't really know how to fly the damn plane. They had relied on autopilot so much that when autopilot was turned off, they didn't know what to do and they couldn't bring it back. And they actually had to try to land the plane, and they landed it short. So the plane crashed. Now it goes to, what was this? I may get the channel wrong. Excuse me, I may get the letters wrong. I think it was KTVU in San Francisco.
That was a real broadcast?
Oh, that's why I'm going to play it again. Channel 2, I think. I think it was KTVU. If it wasn't, I apologize. But this went out on the air. This is what these people... This isn't fake. This is what people were actually... This is what they heard when the newsreaders first heard about this. Okay, now, here's the deal. Somebody had to write this. Somebody had to run it through the editor. The editor had to approve it, and then it had to go on the teleprompter. So it went through essentially 3 bastions of editing. And so, I don't know. Kate, can you still hear me? Okay. Let's try this again. Because Kate wanted to hear this. So this is what happens when you have somebody like me in charge of technology. So let's try Kate again on Skype. Okay, Kate, are you there? Kate. Are you there, Kate?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. It says connection lost. Huh. Okay. There's a poor network connection, but I can hear you. So, anyway, did you happen to hear the background on that, on the story? Kate? Kate. This is what is called a killer, a buzzkill. Let me try this once again. 3rd time's a charm, or I'm just going to have to soldier on. Oops, that's wrong. Let's try this again. Let's try this. Uno mas. Kate, are you there? Okay. Kate? Let's see if she's there. How about now? Are you there? No? Yes? Yes, no? Maybe so? There was a problem with the call. Let me try one additional thing here. Let me get rid of this. See, this is, again, what kills shows. But I like Kate so much that I'm going to try to bring her back. Here we go. Let's try this and see if this works.
Hello?
Well, let's try this. For whatever reason, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. For whatever reason, Skype doesn't like me now.
Oh. Well, shock.
I know. I'm so sad. So now I had to do the phone thing. Did you happen to hear the intro about what happened for this video, the setup for the video?
Hello?
How about now? Did you hear anything about the setup for the video?
I did. I heard the whole setup. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, but can you crank up your volume? Because I've got you maxed on volume over here.
My volume? Okay. My volume is as high as we'll go. Let me check the earpiece.
Okay.
Is it better? Let me know if it's getting better.
Keep talking.
Okay. Hello. Yes,
there we go.
I did hear the intro.
There we go.
I did. Okay.
Okay. Now that you know the intro, now you have a background to it. Let's go.
We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Li Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday. We have new information now.
Okay, now, the other thing I have to tell you about this is that as they're playing that, this is a video. And the video, when you watched that show, they typed out the pilots' names. There were 4 pilots' names. And it wrote out Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Li Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. This comes from the land of you can't write this crap. So, Kate, if you would, tell us a little bit about your show, because you have a show of your own now every Tuesday and Thursday. No, excuse me, every Thursday and Sunday night. So tell us when, where, and what does it consist of?
My show is Around the Campfire with Kate on psntv.com on Thursday and Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my show is, I do the news, and I also talk about how to survive in these times.
Okay.
Situational awareness, bug out locations, how to pack a bug out bag, what to do, how to do it, why to do it that way, all kinds of fun stuff. I even have guests from time to time, like you and Jeremy Hansen.
And you invited the both of us on your show about a week and a half ago or so, and I had a grand...
I know that was dangerous of me to do.
I had a grand time, an absolutely grand time. Where can people find you in social media if they want to look for you, or where should they go to watch the show on social media and or websites?
We don't have a website yet. I'm not tech savvy to do all the website happy stuff there. Oh, I guess there is a website for PSN TV.
Yeah.
publicstreamingnetwork.com. You can find me on PSN TV, Facebook, PSN TV, YouTube, live, this is all live, Twitch, Twitter, all through PSN. He has me all hooked up to all kinds of live stuff all over the place. If you ask me where to go, I have no idea.
Okay. All righty. Now, I customarily post my shows at the conclusion of the show the next day. For this show, I have had Kate Kruzewski on a number of times, I think 5 or 6 times before. I think it was the second time I had you on. We went into your background, which is amazing. And when I post the show tomorrow, I will include in it at bloviatingzeppelin.net the link to indicate where people can go to listen to your background and your story. You have one incredible story. Unfortunately, no time to go into it tonight, but for those of you who go to bloviatingzeppelin.net tomorrow, I'll post the show. You can look at the link and listen to 2 hours of a story from an individual that is startling and courageous all at once. So I recommend that you guys do that. Tonight, my co-host here is Kate Kruzewski. And what I'd like to do with her is go through the past 8 days of the Biden administration, because it is 8 days into the Biden administration, and that has so far yielded 40 presidential executive orders, 21 on the first day, 10 on Biden's second day in office. And as co-host Kate, weigh in, jump in anytime that you feel like adding anything here.
Well, before he did all of that stuff, I'm jumping in just like you told me to.
Sure.
before he did all of that stuff and they called in the National Guard, what a lot of people do not know is that Nancy Pelosi did not get her machine gun. Nancy Pelosi actually sent a message to all of the Democrats with their newly established power, wanted crew-manned machine guns for the inauguration. She was denied this, of course, but that is, she requested it and was actually ticked off that she did not get it.
And also, let us not forget that before Trump went away, she also wanted the nuclear code football removed from him, from his possession in his last days, which the military decided in their infinite wisdom they were not going to satisfy that request from that bat. That's just insanity.
Is that not like, not treason, but is that not like insurrection? Was she not asking for the code herself?
Maybe, but here's the thing. Maybe I should just state this up front. I've said this a couple of times on a lot of other people's shows, and maybe I should state it here. Because if you guys were listening, my introduction has changed, and my philosophy now is I'm done with bipartisanship and compromise, and I'm also done with the Republican Party. Predominantly, they can go to hell. There may be certain individuals that if I were in that area, I would vote for or perhaps even send detailed money to. But I haven't sent money to the RNC for years and years, and if I do send money to a particular candidate, it's never going to be a Democrat, and it may have been in the past to a Republican candidate whose philosophy was remarkably similar to mine. We're going to talk a little bit later about Tulsi Gabbard. She is a really unique person, and I think she's got a hell of a future. What I'm getting to is this, though. KATE KRUZEWSKI, when you talk about should this happen or should this happen or should this happen, because of the mindset of leftists, Democrats, the anarchists, ably abetted by the American media maggots, there's so much new stuff here, so much new ground that no one's gone over. In our lifetime, and certainly not since I would guess, the early 1900s or late 1800s, has anyone attempted to ever impeach someone out of office. There are arguments, leftists are making arguments on the left side. None of it, if you read Section 2, Article 4 of the Constitution, none of it is unconstitutional. None of it is constitutional, I should say, because there's the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. The letter of the law and the spirit of the law is to remove a current office holder under impeachment. So in my estimation, that's why that's all wrong. But this is new. All of this is so new. New territory for that, for the football. And it gets down to, again, in my opinion, Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots comprise a criminal union. I would even go so far as to suggest perhaps a RICO. And the reason I say that is their philosophy fundamentally now is that of a criminal. Anybody that's worked in law enforcement knows that this is the criminal mindset. And it's this. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine, unless you're strong enough to stop me.
That sounds like a marriage.
And, yeah. And that's how the Democrats are operating now. Unless the Republicans are strong enough to put up a united front, let me emphasize that, a united front against these assholes, they're going to keep pushing and do what they want to do when they want to do it. Because if you fail to push back on them, Republicans, then they're going to continue to steamroller your ass in any and every way. You have to be strong enough to resist them. And if you don't, look at what has happened in our past. Since 2016, 2014, everybody, since Benghazi also, people have been saying, well, why haven't there been consequences? I submit it's predominantly, mostly because it's a failure of the Republicans to put up a sufficient coalesced fight against these dickweeds.
Well, if I may, I look at it like 90% of the Republicans are cowards. They are two-faced, forked-tongued cowards. A good example is, and I feel like I can actually talk about Mitch McConnell because I live in his state.
You do?
I do. He is all for Trump and Trump's best friend until he realizes that Trump, quote, lost, unquote, and then he automatically changes sides. He went from, I love Trump, I'll do anything he wants me to I hate Trump, let's impeach him.
I couldn't argue against that. And we also have to... I'm sorry, go ahead.
He was the lesser of the two evils running for office this year.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. Jeremy Hansen, a gentleman whose show I promote here and who I've been on before, and he'll be here next Tuesday, I hope, just sent me a message, says, just so you know, Facebook is going good, Spreaker is going good, and YouTube is glitchy as hell. Okay, well, folks, if you want to leave and go over to Facebook, apparently that video is working better. Just an important safety tip from Jeremy, from me to you. And Spreaker tanked on me last Tuesday, so I'm really glad that Spreaker is going right now. Kate Kruzewski, thank you for being here as co-host tonight. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor.
We talked about, and I mentioned Biden having written and signed 40 executive orders in the first 8 days. By contrast, President Trump has signed 6 executive orders in that same period of time. So Biden has signed roughly 7 times the number of Trump in that amount of time. This is called...
I do not believe that he's even writing the executive orders. I believe that he is just being handed the executive orders and he's just signing them.
Okay, wait. That deserves this. Anybody that listens to the show knows that when somebody makes a really cogent, salient remark, I have to do that. And I completely believe that, Kate Kruzewski. I don't believe that he authored any of these executive orders. If you were watching, and I do watch from time to time, I watched Jen Psaki today, the press person, give or host a tete-a-tete with the American media maggots. And I noticed during her press conference 2 very important things. Number one was all the people who spoke, except for one individual, were all female, and that they were all softballs. The other thing prior to that is about a half hour before said news conference, Biden was speaking. He was reading from a teleprompter. When he was done speaking, he took no questions, and you could hear all the handlers pushing everybody out of the Oval Office. So when you, Kate Kruzewski, say that you don't believe that he's writing any of this stuff, he's not writing any of the EOs, you can guarantee that he's not writing what it is that he's reading. He is a news reader now, and he's very poor at that. And
the man doesn't even know his own name.
No, he's handled so minutely, so micromanaged that they cannot afford to let him speak extemporaneously in public because they know essentially that he's going to cock it up.
Well, speaking from a neurological standpoint, as a professional in neurology, if you look at his mannerisms and what he is doing physically, I do not like the man. I do not care for the man. I feel sorry for the man. I believe, and I could be totally way off base on this, and I really don't care, but what I'm looking at is his wife is a physician. I see where professionally, I see her drugging him up to where he can actually function in doing what he is doing now until his brain shuts down and cannot handle the drugs anymore. That is when he is going to, quote, resign, unquote, because he will literally not be able to physically and mentally function with the drugs that he is on. What drugs are he on? I do not know. But it is clear to me, and any medical professional that has been in the medical field for a long time can see he is drugged up. Watch his eyes, watch his mannerisms, watch the way he twitches in certain things. You can see he is drugged up, and neurologically he will not be able to take it too much longer.
You make an excellent point. Folks, my co-host tonight is KATE KRUZEWSKI. We're going to go to a break, come right back, and I would like to pick that up in terms of Joe Biden, and then we will begin the hypocrisy riot fest right after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Unleashed Jeremy Hansen, the most explosive pro-American podcast on the planet. Pro-MAGA, pro-Trump, pro-conservative. Come join the resistance. Fight for what really matters in America. 5 p.m. Central on UJHLive.com, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or MAGAbook.com. Come join the resistance and fight for America. Unleashed Jeremy Hansen.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I am back. I am the Bloviating Zeppelin. This is the second of two shows in the week. I am on Tuesday and Thursday nights at shrmedia.com. I was told by Jeremy Hansen, thank you very much, Jeremy Hansen, that Spreaker is rolling well. That's the audio version of what you're listening to. And that YouTube was not so keen and Facebook was doing an okay job of things right now. If you would, to be so kind, would you share the crap out of me on Spreaker? YouTube, if you can hit the share button too, that would be nice. And Facebook. The big question is, of course, just how long I'm going to be on these places. I think I've survived this long and I know I have survived this long on Twitter because I have a following of, I don't know, maybe all the fish that are in the pond in Alta, which is where I live at about 4,000 feet. There's about 12 fish in the pond. And I think they follow me. And there's a couple of deer that drop in every now and then. And all the raccoons, when I feed them at night, they drop in. So they share me when they can think of it. So if you would do that, share me on social media. I don't have a lot of people there, and I think that's why I haven't been shot in the head yet. Here on SHR Media Chat, thank you for being here to the Alaskan, Jack Alexander, Real Mike Pasqua. Simone says, Sergeant Booker, and of course, Kate is on here herself. when last we spoke, meanwhile, back on the ranch, we were talking about Joe Biden and his questionable mental fecundity. I have said for some time that I find it abominable that Jill Biden, I should say, has pushed her husband out onto Front Street in order to acquire money and power. And I think that's, of course, well, come on. Let's put it this way. Everybody knows it, but you're not supposed to talk about it because you don't want to take advantage of the old folks. You know, I'm an old folk. You don't want to take advantage of us old folks. And it's the unspoken truth is you can't rely on this guy, even on a teleprompter. He is no longer good at ad-libbing questions, answers, which is why you got to hide him as much as possible. KATE KRUZEWSKI, one of the things that I was going to mention is that I've noticed that with dementia patients, because I have been around a few, that when they tend to get confused, they can also become angry. And to me, that would answer a lot of recent questions in the past, say, year or so, and also when he was on the campaign trail, as to when he gets angry with people, when he's pressed. Because
let me explain something about the human brain.
Okay.
If you are, let me put it in layman's terms so your listeners can understand.
Okay.
Let's go into a bar, and you have three types of drunks. You have when I get drunk, I am an angry drunk, and I'm going to introduce your nose to your left ear just because I can.
Okay.
Then there are the sexy drunk of I can be 350 pounds, but I am the most sexiest beast in this building. And then there is the happy drunks, the ones that they can get drunk and they giggle at everything and they are just so much fun to be around because they're drunk and they're happy. Neurologically, I put Joe Biden in the angry drunk category.
Yes.
He is in the mindset of when he is questioned on something, and it is clear that he does not know the answer to the question, he is used to getting his way through his anger.
Yes.
Therefore, he is going to respond in an angry manner and try to be tough and say, I'm the toughest man in the room. Come on, man, I will take you on. Without realizing that a 6-year-old could trip him up and hurt him. But he does not realize that because neurologically the sensors in his brain are telling him that he is the strongest man in the world. Therefore, he can be angry and get his way because I'm running for president. Now he is, I am president. I am the strongest man in the world now. Now, can you imagine this man has the authority to do anything he needs to with our military, anything he wants to with our military.
And he has
the nuclear codes. One person
Bingo.
pisses him off, and he has the authority to do something out of the neurological sensors in his brain will tell him what to do. Now he is almost to the point where he cannot literally be responsible by law for his actions. People need to understand this.
You could make that argument. I could make that argument in open court.
Absolutely. So he can do what he wants to and get away with it, and powers that be that are behind him, it may seem like it's a struggle to them right now to keep him in the basement, but they are giggling behind the door of the basement because they are the ones who have control.
Joe Biden didn't do him any favors. I think she's one of the most despicable individuals on the planet. And the reason I say that is because she has put him in Front Street to acquire money and power. That is one of the most craven motivations that I can find in a married couple. A lot of people are saying, oh, BZ, this is so terrible. You shouldn't be saying these things about Joe Biden. But Joe, like other people, like other Democrats, are not used to being opposed, which is why one of the reasons is you must shield him. Now, question for everybody, including you, Kate Kruzewski. I always say, do BZ's reversal axiom, and that is this. Let's say that the same circumstances and the same behaviors had been exhibited by Donald Trump. What would everybody say about Donald Trump? They would be saying he can't stand it in public. He only reads the teleprompter. He's being covered so that, in other words, they'd say he has dementia. He cannot string a cogent sentence together. All he does is read, and they're protecting him to the nth degree. And then they would
have him in a mental institution.
Oh, you would never hear the end of it.
Nope.
Now, folks, tonight I am BZ. This is the Saloon. That is my co-host, Kate Kruzewski. The phone line is open should you wish. 575-208-4481. If you happen to be watching on YouTube or Facebook on video, you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's a little chyron down there. I like to say that chyron. I have my own chyron. There's a chyron down at the bottom of the page. And on that chyron, which is moving from right to left, it says, call in now, 575-208-4481. But I'm going to continue on with Kate. As I indicated, Trump wrote 6 EOs in his first day. Old Mr. Green Jeans has written 40. This is called ruling by executive fiat, in my estimation. And okay, everybody will say, oh, Trump, 6 EOs, that's terrible. Okay, as opposed to 40 right now. He is completely bypassing Congress, but that's okay in the House because they have the majority. So that's nifty, but oddly enough, this is what then candidate Joe Biden had to say about this very same issue in 2020. He's not that guy. He's not this guy. He's not that guy. And he says you can't legislate by executive order or by executive fiat. That's
So there's not going to be any delay on the tax increases.
No, well, I got to get the votes. That's why, the one thing that I have this strange notion. We are a democracy. Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
Got to take a quick break.
How does Joe Biden's use of executive power compare so far?
And that's the answer. He told us himself, well, I'm not going to rule by executive fiat. Okay. I happen to have a list of executive orders. On January 20th, his very first EO was to re-engage with the World Health Organization, which is what Trump took us out of because they're lying sacks of crap, aligned with the Chinese. Then he's going to create a position of COVID-19 response coordinator. That was his second EO. He's going to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. He signed that as an instrument. Then he said he's going to revoke the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline and pause energy leasing in Anwar. What that has happened to do, its immediate effects is 11,000 people lost their jobs. 8,000 of those people happen to be in unions. Those were good union, high-paying jobs with benefits and health care. Goodbye. Wave bye-bye. Then he asked agencies to extend eviction foreclosure moratoriums. That was a request. He asked the Education Department to extend a student loan pause. That was a request. He signed an EO launching an initiative to advance racial equity and to end 1776 Commission. Now, stop. This is the point I want to make. There is a distinct difference, folks, between equality and equity. And because I speak leftist, I'm going to tell you the difference between the two. Equality is equality of, as indicated in our founding documents, equality of opportunity. One must always have opportunities. And I have said myself for decades now, no one is equal until everyone is equal. Animal Farm, George Orwell wrote, all animals are equal except some animals are more equal than others. That's equality. Now, equity, and what leftist Democrats and the American media maggots mean by equity, is outcome. Opportunity is insufficient. They want a guaranteed equity, which translates in their brainulus to outcome. I want everyone's outcome the same. I, KATE KRUZEWSKI, cannot afford a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Can you, KATE KRUZEWSKI, afford a Rolls-Royce Phantom?
No.
300.
Nor can I justify it.
Yes, $320,000 to $350,000 plus later. I'd like to have a Rolls-Royce Phantom, but that doesn't mean that I can afford one or that I deserve one. But equity says that if other people have similar things, there should be similar outcomes. Trust me, that's exactly what they mean by racial equity. That was an EO signed. That was also on January 20th. He revoked the order that aims to exclude undocumented immigrants. This is right from the White House. Undocumented immigrants. Oh, you mean illegals? From the census. Because when you put illegals in the census, then that's how you get more House seats in every state. California. Always spell it with a K. Huh? That's what that's all about. Then he signed a memorandum, Preserve and Fortify DACA, which helps the Dreamers. This lovely name, the Dreamers. Then he signed an EO requiring masks and distancing on all federal property and by federal workers. Another EO reversing the travel ban targeting primarily Muslim countries. Okay. Wrong. The leftist and Democrat view back then in 2016 was wrong, and it's wrong now. He put a travel ban on primarily Muslim Middle East countries because that's where the greatest amount of terror stems. Question to everyone listening now. Which country has the greatest amount of Muslims in it? I'll wait. I'm sorry, Kate, say?
That is a good question because some people would say Iran, some people would say Iraq, some people would say Saudi Arabia.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Indonesia.
No way.
Was there a travel ban? Number 2 is Africa. Is there a travel ban on people from Indonesia? No, there wasn't. Why? Because the greatest amount of terrorists are not from Indonesia. So it wasn't a Muslim ban. That was a lie. It was from terrorists from the Middle East. And again, people went, they drunk the Jim Jones on that one. They bought that lock, stock, and lie. Then he had a proclamation that stopped the construction of the border wall. And he signed an EO combating discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender.
Okay, we're gonna stop right there.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Sure.
On the border wall.
Okay.
A lot of what people see and what they think about, in my opinion, the people that I've talked to and about is, oh my gosh, illegal immigrants, and we're going to lose all of our jobs, and everything. Do they realize that about 70% of human trafficking goes through the Mexican border on both sides? Do they understand that our children and our grandchildren and our nieces and our nephews are being targeted by these people? And now Biden has opened it up to allow, don't get me started on this, I'll get all riled. He's opened up the border to allow human trafficking. And he is highly involved with his son, Hunter Biden, and his other son, and his brother, Jim, I believe his name is. It has been established and proven with facts and evidence that they are heavily involved in human trafficking. Joe Biden has already stated, and I wish I could find where he said it at, because I did watch it. He did say that, like other states in the United States that have, quote, legalized, unquote, pedophilia, he wants to legalize human trafficking by making it look like the victims are participants and willing. If they are willing participants, it is not kidnapping and it is not trafficking, which hinders my job of rescuing these people. Because if I rescue these people, if, say, for example, you hire my company to rescue your granddaughter who has been trafficked, if we go in, if we do all of the operational planning and we go in and we rescue her and we bring her back to you, we are arrested for kidnapping. We are arrested for human trafficking. If he won't make it illegal within the borders of the United States for people like Craig Sawyer, myself, A21, any of the other entities that go after human trafficking, he will make it illegal for us to be able to save our children and grandchildren.
And number one, an excellent point, Kate Kruzewski, because that's what you do and that's what you've done. And when I post this show, as I said before, I will put a link to Kate's life story. When you hear that, you will understand exactly why it is that she's saying what she is saying now. Another aspect that I want to point out is whose problem and fault is a lot of this. I submit, again, it's the Republicans. Have we heard the Republicans say, in addition to illegals coming in and the issue of illegals coming up from Ecuador, etc., to smash through the border, the issue of bringing COVID-19, Wuhan 19, and anything else with them, the other issue is trafficking and drugs. But the other big failure is on the Republicans in terms of messaging. Have we heard messaging indicating that one of the major reasons that we have to have a wall and control who goes in and out of this country is due to human trafficking and drugs? It's not just about keeping the dark-skinned people out. Let me tell you this, folks. If fucking France was on the south side of the border pulling the same shit that Mexico does, I would feel the exact same. Same for all the lily white people in Norway or Denmark or Sweden. If they were pulling the same crap, I would be saying the exact same thing. Paint job has nothing to do with it. Being a sovereign nation has everything to do with it. Kate Kruzewski.
I look at it like, if you look at the statistics, when the mainstream liars declared Biden as the president-elect right after the stolen election, I hope I don't get you demonetized or anything for that, but the statistics grew in human trafficking. It went from a literally a $65 billion a year worldwide industry, to it doubled to 120 to 125 billion dollar industry from November 6th till now.
I don't doubt that at all. Now, I'm looking at Facebook, by the way, folks, and I see Sean in Facebook. I hope I pronounce your name correctly, and I don't see everybody who's in chat in Facebook, but I see Sean. I hope I pronounce your name right, Dene, I think Dene, D-E-N-E-E. I hope I
That's a pretty name.
did pronounce. Yeah, I kind of like that. So I see you in chat in Facebook, so at least I want to acknowledge your presence. Other than that, I can't see who's in Facebook. That's just the way Facebook rolls with me.
Well, hello, Facebook people.
And, of course, everybody in chat and SHR, Simone, Kate, yourself, Alaskan Jack, Booker, Mike, etc. Oh, and Jack. Oh, Jack Alexander. Hey, good to see you there. Here's another EO. Combat discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity. Completely unnecessary.
Did you hear that now they can have ponytails and pigtails, men, ponytails and pigtails, and earrings and nose rings and all of that happy crap now in the military? Thank you, Joe Biden.
Oh, wonderful. Great.
I do not remember if that was yesterday or the day before that I heard that, and I went, what? When I was in the military, I'll tell you what, they were not easy on us, and it was like, if you had long hair as a girl, you had to have it up. You could not have a ponytail. You could not have earrings and jewelry. You could have a watch. That was, or your wedding band. That was it.
Well, if you were in patrol on the street, that was a good way to get your earring ripped out of your ear.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you had to, say, wear a tie, because we used to, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, you always had to pull ties so that you couldn't be choked with your own tie. Sergeant Booker in chat, Kate, says, has a question. He says, if a parent or a legal guardian was part of the rescue mission, would that be considered kidnapping?
If they did not have custody of the child, yes, it is kidnapping. If they had custody of the child, say, for example, when I was trafficked, my grandfather had custody of me. He had not adopted me yet, but he had custody of me. And therefore, he could hire the individuals that he hired to go in after me. So nowadays, I do not know how he has it stated or how he's going to have it stated. If the individual, say, for example, back to BZ, say he had custody of his granddaughter and he hired us and he came with us to rescue his granddaughter, if the verbiage, the legal verbiage is proper, then and it was not within the borders of the United States, we can go anywhere else in the world and rescue. If it's within the borders of the United States, that would all depend on the verbiage of whatever laws that Biden is going to create.
Okay.
So for example, if you hired us and you did not have custody of your grandchild, and we went in within the borders of the United States, we still cannot in the United States. If you hired us and you did not have custody of that child, if we went in and we rescued that child without law enforcement or the U.S. Marshals or anything like that, yes, that would be classified as kidnapping.
Okay.
But if we had the U.S. Marshals with us, or if it was a military operation, then no, it would not be kidnapping.
Okay. Sergeant Booker, I hope that answers your question. I was talking about executive.
If it doesn't, let me know.
Okay. Yeah, he'll throw something in chat again if he has another question. Talking about executive orders, then another one was on January 20th, requires an ethics pledge for executive branch personnel. Okay, depends on what's in it. Everything depends on what's in it. There was a memorandum, modernize and improve regulatory review, A lot of this stuff is really nebulous sounding. And harsh and extreme immigration enforcement. That's, I think, the one that is coming back to bite the Biden administration in the butt. There was a memorandum extend protection from deportation for Liberians in U.S., just one group of persons from a country. Revoke certain executive orders concerning federal regulations. Freeze any new or pending regulations. Fill in shortfalls in the fight versus COVID-19 with Defense Production Act and other measures. Increase FEMA reimbursement for states with National Guard, PPE. Establish COVID-19 pandemic testing board. Bolster access to COVID-19 treatments and clinical care. Improve collection analysis of COVID-related data. Mount vaccination campaign and goals, such as 100 million shots in 100 days. That's going real well. Provide guidance in safety reopening schools. OSHA guidance. Require face masks at airports. That was an EO. Establish a COVID-19 health equity task force. Support international response to COVID-19 and so many others, and I'm running out of time in the show. That's the source of all of that was the Biden administration. If you want to find out more about that, all you have to do is go to your favorite search engine and write something down similar to, give me the text of all the EOs that Biden has written. We'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It is he that is me, bringing perspective from across the sea. Join me, Jack Alexander, 4 days a week for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the news and issues affecting life and liberty here in the USA. I'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Politics, border security, defense, healthcare, travel, nothing is off limits. Catch the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast each Monday to Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere good podcasts can be found. Also, check out the website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the Unpleasant Blind Guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On EBL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I am back. Oh my God. That is 1 hour gone already. An hour that I will never be able to get back. Thanks to everybody that happens to be in the SHR Media chat. I've been able to see a couple of other people who are now in the Facebook chat, to include Jeremy Hansen, Jack Alexander, Janice. Good to see you there. And that's the end now of who I can see in chat. This has been Chat at BZ in the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Thanks for being in chat tonight. We have KATE KRUZEWSKI. And Kate, thank you very much for being here. She is my wondrous co-host for the night. Now, does anybody remember when Biden said something similar to, we're not really going to stack the court. We're not going to stack SCOTUS, except now that It turns out, Politico says, as a matter of fact, he's going to. Headline, Biden starts staffing a commission on Supreme Court reform. He pushed the idea as a candidate during the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation fight. Now he's getting it going. The Biden administration now is moving forward with the creation of a bipartisan commission. Republicans, bipartisan commission to study reforms to the Supreme Court and the federal judiciary. What that means, because I speak leftist, is we're going to pack the court and we're going to move it from the current 9 to either 4 more, 13, or maybe 6 more. They'll start with 13. Who knows? Maybe they'll go up to 6 after that. There you go. Here's the funny thing, though. Funny, air quotes. Oddly enough, stacking the court wasn't something that the leftists, the hallowed and revered jurist Ginsburg desired herself. She didn't necessarily want that. And Democrats and leftists also let it be known that they will not, despite what Biden said, allow kids to go back to school. Let's talk about closed schools and kids just for a moment. It is my belief that closed schools are killing children via drugs, alcohol, mental health issues, and suicides. Chicago teachers, if you're not aware, folks, Chicago teachers are threatening to strike this coming Monday because the board has asked them to go back to work. That's terrible. And I'm sure you've heard a portion of this individual, but I want to play as much of this as I can and cross my fingers and hope to die that you'll be able to hear the whole thing. If you have not heard, this is one man's plaintive cry to open a school as he speaks in front of the board in Virginia.
You should all be fired from your day jobs because if your employers knew that you were more inefficient than the DMV, you would be replaced in a heartbeat. I literally just finished a conference call because I'm having to multitask to be here to address you guys. You're a bunch of cowards hiding behind our children as an excuse for keeping schools closed. You think you're some sort of martyrs because of the decisions you're making when the statistics do not lie that the vast majority of the population is not at risk from this virus. The garbage workers who pick up my freaking trash risk their lives every day more than anyone in this school system. Figure it out or get off the podium. Because you know what? There are people like me and a line of other people out there who will gladly take your seat and figure it out. It's not a high bar. Raise the freaking bar.
If that wasn't heartfelt, I don't know what was. But in my estimation, he was speaking for the bulk of parents. And then there was this story. This is one of hundreds now, and hundreds and hundreds. Suburban college student dies by suicide after struggling with isolation. Children's emergency room visits related to mental health have increased significantly during the pandemic, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I'll get to a CDC story in just a moment. So there was an 18-year-old kid. This is just one of many. University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign freshman. He died by suicide this past October while grappling with isolation brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, his family said. Trevor Till, who was from suburban Seneca, excelled in the classroom at Seneca High School and in activities including marching band and cross country. He's dead now. He took his life. Chicago teachers threatening to strike decided, though, if you saw this repugnant video, decided that they were going to dance their way into the hearts of parents who would then magically, mystically, I don't know what these people are thinking, support them. What they said is a safe return or no return. Hi, Leslie. Welcome to SHR Media Chat. Thank you for being here. So this is from the CTU, the Chicago Teachers Union. 6 of our rank and file dance teachers come together to use their art form as a voice to express their desire to feel safe amidst CPS's teacher return policy. The CTU kind of expects teachers to work. They stand in solidarity with all educators at risk, because no one should have to choose between life and livelihood. Imagine that. It's called The Moment We're Safe. It's very dramatic. I wish I could show you the video.
I will survive.
I will survive.
Without you.
Okay, so enough of that crap. So teachers are special. They're better than restaurant workers, grocery store workers. They're better than truck drivers. They're better than sanitation workers. They're better than Uber drivers. They're better than all the damn doctors and the nurses and the cops and the firefighters and the EMTs and the bar owners and the gym owners and all the delivery drivers who all want to work. And some who can't work. They refuse to look at the actual statistics, the science. They don't seem to be interested in listening to science or doing their jobs, particularly in light of the new article that just came out 2 days ago from the CDC. No, I'm sorry, today. Today's the 28th. At least if you're on the left coast. It's tomorrow on the East Coast. It's way after tomorrow where Jack Alexander is. CDC officials say schools can reopen during the pandemic, but precautions are crucial. So now even the CDC is saying, you want to get students back into school? Just do the regular things. Do the distance. You'll be fine. So here's my suggestion. Not returning to work? Why are teachers getting paid? Give them a week. If you fail to return, fire them and hire temporary and substitute teachers as replacements. You'll be better off. Your kids aren't getting taught now. Kate, any thoughts on that?
Why are they striking? No, I know what they're saying, but why do they want to be teachers to be?
Yeah, it's a good question.
If they wanted to be teachers to help kids better themselves, then they would go back to work. What they are doing and what it shows me in this strike is that they are not in this job to help the kids. I mean, to me, it's just that cut and dry. It's that simple.
It really is that simple. Now, folks, if you listen to Jeremy Hansen, he had a very interesting article that I was unaware of that I thought I would mention here very briefly. We're going to move on to other aspects because I want to continue talking. I only got 45 minutes left. I want to continue talking about other 2021 Biden and leftist insanity. So here's the good news. It doesn't quite qualify as a happy story, but it is good news. For Democrats, I guess, China could potentially be in charge of the U.S. electric grid. How cool is that? What could possibly go wrong? Here's the headline. Biden's order could let China control the U.S. electric grid. Are you serious? That's where we are in 2021. The number one enemy of the United States, China, the Democrats want to allow access to our electric grid. And if you doubt me, I'll just continue right now. Less than a week into his presidency, Joe Biden has already put U.S. security at greater risk to Chinese and other threats. Biden, who has long been accused of critics of being soft on China, imagine that, issued a lengthy executive order in which, buried amidst matters purportedly designed to combat climate change, was an anomalous and potentially dangerous provision. Oh, BZ, what would that be? The provision in question addresses nothing reasonably connected to climate change. Instead, it suspends for 90 days a key security measure put in place last May 1st by former President Donald Trump. Biden's suspension of Trump's measure doesn't make sense at all. Here it is. Trump's EO 13920 declared a national emergency with respect to the nation's electric grid and prohibited the acquisition or installation of, quote, any bulk power electric equipment designed, developed, manufactured, or supplied by persons owned by, controlled by, or subject to the jurisdiction or direction of a foreign adversary, unquote. In sum, Trump forbade the use of grid equipment that is made in China, Russia, or other hostile nations. Oh, come on, BZ. China building electrical equipment, that's not an issue. Trump's common sense order was a response to real proven threats. Just last year, the Wall Street Journal reported that the U.S. seized a Chinese-built, listen to this, guaranteed you haven't heard about this, unless you listened to Jeremy earlier today. The U.S. seized a China-built transformer because officials believed its electronics had been secretly given malicious capabilities, possibly allowing a distant adversary to monitor or even disable it on command. Cybersecurity expert Joseph Weiss reported that officials found electronics that should not have been part of the transformer, hardware backdoors that would allow the Chinese to effectively gain control of the transformers without any network forensics being the wiser. Imagine that. This is your...
Wait a minute. Is it not illegal for a president to invite a foreign entity onto our soil to do what he wants them to do? Is that not illegal?
Well, until the EO was rescinded. But wait. There's more. Thank you for asking. I always thank you for asking, Kate Kruzewski.
No.
This fake news came out today in the not in the New York Times, because why would they report on themselves? Shame on me for even thinking that. Damn you, BZ. God. Bad BZ. Bad BZ.
Bad boy.
Bad boy. The New York Times, as it turns out, is nothing more than a propaganda organ for the Iran regime. And like I say, did I read that in the New York Times? No. No, of course not. I read this, of all places, in an organ that I think Facebook has already removed. Lawofficer.com. I didn't get this at New York Times. I got this, of all places, at lawofficer.com. New York Times contributor arrested as Iranian spy. Wait a minute. If I had a producer, you would have heard Iran organizer arrested as Iranian spy. But, of course, I don't have a producer, and that's not what you heard. In Brooklyn, a frequent contributor for the New York Times was revealed to be an Iranian spy and was charged with acting as an unregistered foreign agent. Federal prosecutors reported that this Iranian-born political science author, arrested Monday, that's this week, was paid in secret to write columns favorable to Tehran and lobby at least one American lawmaker on the global power's behalf. I wish they named that lawmaker. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, a criminal complaint unsealed Tuesday in federal court in Brooklyn charged, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this dude's name. He was 63 years old.
Come on, try.
Okay. Kaveh Latfolah Afrasiabi.
See? That was so good.
that wasn't that bad. Kate just bolstered me. I feel so capable now. Charged him with acting in conspiracy to act as an unregistered agent of the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran in violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA. If convicted of both offenses, Afrasiabi faces the maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Afrasiabi is accused of espousing propaganda to advance Iranian viewpoints while employed by the Iranian mission to the United Nations. His writings, this is great, you guys are going to love this. His writings appeared in prominent publications like the New York Times, The Guardian, and Huffington Post, all leftists, aligning with Tehran's position on world affairs. Fact, New York Times columns were nothing but Iranian propaganda. The author was arrested as a spy working for Iran. An Iranian government employee paid $265,000 by Iran, secretly trying to influence American policy by peddling propaganda through the ever-willing, America-hating New York Times.
No. Tell me it isn't so.
Yeah, I got to tell you.
Oh.
It's so. It is so. Now, let's focus. Let's focus like a laser beam back where I am, back in California, always spell it with a K. Even leftist California Governor Gavin Newsom has seen recent light regarding Wuhan 19. This just came out 2 days ago. California Governor Gavin Newsom lifts virus stay-at-home orders. Just as people suspected, bing, it came to fruition. Wait a minute, I have a bell. I have a bell and a phone. It came to fruition. California lifted regional stay-at-home orders across the state Monday in response to improving coronavirus conditions, returning the state to a system of county-by-county restrictions. Which is really odd because the week before last, we were told on the news that we had the worst number of cases since the summer, and that they were exploding. Shockingly, just the week before, we were told that. Then boom.
Have you noticed that Fauci has made the statement that COVID-19 is now plateauing? Isn't it amazing how, while Trump is in office, everyone is dying of COVID-19, and if you breathe in the air, you're going to die. And, of course, COVID-19 stops at 6 o'clock in the morning and starts back up after 10 o'clock at night. And they are a respecter of persons. They show up in churches, but they don't show up in bars. But then as soon as Biden is inaugurated as president of the United States, COVID-19 has to flee. It is like a miracle. It is.
It's something that you would witness in a church, which is absolutely amazing. I submit, let me throw this out there, Kate Kruzewski. I have what I consider to be two reasons that we should consider as to why this occurred. Number one, all the other leftist authoritarians lifted their bans because Biden is in office. And number two, Newsom is this close to having his name put on the ballot for a California recall. Always spell it with a K. And he is frightened. He believes he's going to get recalled. It requires 1.5 million signatures, and you can't do it digitally. You have to do it in person. That's the law crafted just for his recall. They have 1.2 million. They're going for 1.9 million because they know that as much as they possibly can, leftists are going to try to toss as many of the signatures as possible. Coinkydink, D.C.'s Mayor Bowser, Michigan's Governor Whitmer, Governor Cuomo, and other leftists have magically seen fit to open businesses back up. Shock of shocks. Just a few days into the Biden presidency. Again, anything to ensure that President Trump didn't acquire a second term. And people died along the way. But as far as they were concerned, fuck it. sacrifices have to be made. That's all there is to it. The story that sent me 210 over 190 today, because I've made an entire show out of this, an entire special report about this aspect, was involving the state of New York and their lovely, he won an Emmy-winning New York Governor Cuomo, and wrote a book about it. What a great guy he is. Attorney General James said this: New York undercounted nursing home COVID deaths. Elder care sites failed to follow safety protocols. Now, let me tell you this. Well, let me ask you this, Kate, or anybody else. Have you guys been to a nursing facility recently, say in the past couple of years? Because I have. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that in general, as opposed to, I don't know, say a hospital, I would wager to say that their employees are not the best trained. And one of the reasons for that, I would suggest that their employees are not the best paid. And I would also suggest that their equipment is not the finest.
True.
And I'm going to suggest that a good reason for that is because, let's be honest, working in a nursing facility predominantly with older people who are moribund is not an uplifting experience. You have to be really attuned to that kind of thing, that kind of job. You have to have a great amount of sacrifice in you to do that. And I wish I could say that all the people that were involved in that were like that. James's office conducted a month-long investigation into the New York State's handling of elder care facilities during the pandemic and how nursing homes failed to protect vulnerable seniors from the deadly virus. As the pandemic and our investigations continue, it's imperative that we understand why the residents of nursing homes in New York unnecessarily suffered at such an alarming rate. While we cannot bring back the individuals we lost to the crisis, this report seeks to offer transparency that the public deserves and to spur increased action to protect our most vulnerable residents. Stop. Our most vulnerable residents. Governor Cuomo and the state health department, they faced, rightly, intense criticism over how the state reported COVID deaths of nursing home residents. Let's not forget this. It was Governor Cuomo's edict that hot Wuhan 19 patients be injected into New York nursing homes. You know, the places where the population consists of those the least physically able to fight back against the virus. In concert.
He's one of those same politicians with the forked tongue.
I popped off when I first heard of this, and I'm popping off now. Nursing homes have the least trained staffs, along with the least amount of equipment. New York and Cuomo knew that shit going in. A July report issued by the state absolved the administration and laid blame for the now more than 8,700 reported deaths of seniors on staffers who unwittingly infected residents. Well, that wasn't all of it. Not by half. But a controversial March mandate requiring facilities, by Cuomo, to accept COVID positive patients, almost can't read this, may have increased the risk of others at the congregate facilities contracting the virus, the AG's report found. May have. Bullshit. It did. In my opinion, Governor Cuomo is actually the greatest and most prolific serial killer in the history of the planet. And he's not responsible. Just ask him.
And he got away with it.
So far. In addition to the dramatic undercounting of deaths, The investigation found many nursing homes put residents at risk of infections by failing to comply with safety protocols. This goes hand in hand with what I have personally witnessed myself, some being much more than others. Some sites failed to properly isolate residents who tested positive for COVID-19 or adequately screen or test employees for the virus. Others demanded that sick employees continue to work and care for residents or face retaliation or termination. I wholeheartedly believe that. The report also found some operators didn't train employees in infection control protocol or PPE. These people were caught off guard. And Cuomo took advantage of it. This would be horrible if it occurred in a hospital. But these people are not the same. They're not the same individuals who become doctors or nurses. I get that. I grok that concept. Which makes this, in my estimation, fundamentally thousands of times worse. Like I said, anybody been to a nursing facility recently? I have. They are, unfortunately, they're not hubs of great pay for employees or bastions of the finest equipment. And with that, to allow myself to bring my own BP down, I'm going to go to this. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. It's the final 27. Good God, where did this time go?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies when you're having fun. 27 minutes left for the show. And of course, like I tell you every damn time, you guys must get sick and tired of hearing this. I'm like a broken record. I haven't even touched a fraction of the topics and articles that I wanted to talk about tonight. My co-host tonight is KATE KRUZEWSKI, a great individual with her own radio show. While we're here, Kate, tell people about your radio show and where and when people can hear you on that show.
I am around the Campfire with Kate through psn-tv.com or publicstreamingnetwork.com. You can listen to me live Thursday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I talk about the news, and I also talk about how to survive in these times.
Thank you very much. Leslie Holker in chat. Ooh, Kate, listen to this. Maybe you're watching this. Leslie Holker in chat says, BZ, you and Kate rock together. Wow, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very. It's so nice to know that. that they think this of us, Kate. Okay, come on. Pick it up. Pick it up. More. There you go. More. Okay, enough adulation. Anyway, Kate and I are here, and Leslie Hoker, thank you very, very much. God, I hope I pronounced your name right. Then there was the huge kerfuffle. I got about a 5-minute video to explain this. This made me laugh the past couple of days. I thought this was grand. The big kerfuffle over us small drips making money on Wall Street. I find this absolutely glorious. The hedge fund artists got beaten at their own game, and they were absolutely livid. They were shitting kittens about it. But here's an interesting point that I've identified. Notice with this, just like Trump, the deep state on every level, this time the stock market, can't stand to let the outsider, air quotes, outsider, beat them at their own game. Make money, maybe change things up, and we let public focus be drawn to the issue itself. Oh, that means you got to be going straight to hell for that. Before I play the description, it's about a 5-minute video. It kind of sums up some things nicely. I found some, let's see, where was this? It's from somebody called Class Action Robinhood. Robinhood Insider Information. This guy wrote, I work for Robinhood, don't kill me. Low-level technical shit, comp science major, not the finance side. Guess what we overheard today? This you'll find very interesting. And you'll say something similar to, who is writing this? Is this somebody on the left? Vladimir, yes, founder Vladimir and the C-suite received calls from Sequoia Capital and the White House that pressured into closing trading on GME, etc. I guarantee you the same took place at E-Trade and the others who closed trading. File reports on the SEC page. If I wasn't scared to be out of work in a pandemic, I'd quit. I'm disgusted. We all need to rise up. This is as bad as it gets when we talk about how the rich get one set of rules and the rest of us get screwed. And over and over and over again, left to bail them out and pick up the tab for their $1 trillion tax breaks. We need to pile pressure on every government and financial institution involved in this travesty of justice. And then he concluded with saying, I'm taking a massive career risk for even posting here. But it's late night. I get to say this just as he wrote it. But fuck these motherfuckers. So speaking of that, maybe we can figure out
what's going on with
what happened.
Stock. What's a short sale? And what about this subreddit, Wall Street Bets, and Elon Musk tweeting? And is this the internet versus Wall Street? Well, kind of. Here's what's going on.
This is about GameStop. The internet versus Wall Street.
If you haven't been paying attention, GameStop's, that's GameStop the store, stock is skyrocketing. And a lot of people are pointing the finger for this at a subreddit on Reddit called Wall Street Bets. And there's a lot of other things going on here. Basically, it's a lot of people seeing opportunities to make a lot of money. So I really didn't understand what was going on here. I had to talk to my longtime friend, Jill Schlesinger, who's a CBS News business analyst, to break it all down and really explain what's a short sale and is this exactly the internet versus Wall Street? Here's what she had to say.
There's something called short selling. Short selling is really weird. It's like a bet against the company. So here's what you do. I want to sell the GameStop stock. I have to go borrow 100 shares from my brokerage company. I borrow the stock and then I sell it. So net, it looks like I'm minus 100. Okay, that's my bet against the stock. What's important here? The borrowing part, because when you borrow something, you owe it back in the future. What I'm hoping is I sell GameStop when it's $10 a share and I buy it back when it's $1, right? Fantastic. Now, what happens when the stock goes up? Every day it looks like I made a really bad bet because the stock I sold at 10, when it goes to 15, 20, I'm showing losses and losses and losses. And when you do that on a huge scale, when you sell a stock short, what you really have to hope for is that you have enough collateral margin that you can cover losses that you incur. Okay, what happened with GameStop is there were these big, huge companies who thought this is a company that's overvalued. That's it. It's not a bet against like these specific people who are bad people, good people, or anything. I bet this company is overvalued, and I sold it. And that's really how we entered into this current situation. So
those are hedge fund managers, by the way.
Short sellers said we're against it, and then all of a sudden comes Reddit. It's not that short sellers are bad, but what's fascinating about this to me is that you have a group of people on Reddit who are like, hey, let's jam these dudes up. And here's how you do it. Now, there's nothing illegal about that unless the people who are saying, hey, go out and do this have some sort of inside information, which I don't think they did, but there's going to be an investigation.
Sure. So this really has nothing to do with GameStop or at least video games, right? That company just found itself in the perfect situation to be bet for and against, meaning a lot of financial institutions thought that GameStop's business was going the way of the buffalo and eventually would go out of business. And people on subreddits like Wall Street Bets saw that this company was being so heavily shorted, they saw an opportunity to make money by driving the price up.
I think what's kind of interesting is that it brings to light a division in the investing world, which we used to call retail versus institutional. And I think what makes this kind of a delicious story for small investors, it's like, no, screw you, Mr. or Mrs. running your big hedge fund. Like, we can move markets too. You've been moving markets for the last 100 years. It's our turn. It is true that some short sellers basically agitate to get seats on boards, to gut companies, to do all those things. Same thing in private equity. There are good ones, there are bad ones. And and at the end of the day, they're all trying to do one thing. They're trying to make money. And if the smaller and retail investors out there are pushing them in different ways, I mean, it's sort of, like I said, it's a delicious aspect to the story. But to me, it's just old school. It's like some people think this thing is worth this. Other people think it's worth this. And, a lot of shorts have gotten squeezed out of trades that are far more interesting than this one. For everyone watching, if you are interested in doing things like this, it is dangerous. It's dangerous to short stock. It's dangerous to buy options when you don't know how options work. It's dangerous. If you want to be like sort of participating in something and you think it's cool and you want to learn something, take the amount of money that you feel like you can lose. That's what you should do.
So there you have it. Jill says it's just business as usual on the stock market. And I kind of think she's right. This kind of stuff's been going on forever, just much more in our faces because of where a lot of this buying power came from on the internet, in that subreddit, and from people like Elon Musk and other big players who tweet and can sort of move markets with a single post. So that's going to do it for me. I hope you learned something. I've learned so much. Again, if this whole situation helps you in the least bit understand the stock market a little more, it's probably a good thing. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jeff Bakalar. I'll see you next time.
So that's essentially what happened in a nutshell. I'll distill it down for you even further. Because in chat, I'm looking at, where is it? Sergeant Booker said, and nailed it, absolutely, the haves are pissed that the have-nots got some. That's it. The thought that anybody outside of Wall Street, the outsider, might be getting rich is something they can't possibly tolerate. What a terrible situation it is that non-suit wearing lowly plebeians like you and me could figure out the system and actually make money just like Wall Streeters. So let's
dare we have that desire?
How dare we figure out how to short stocks like they've been doing for decades? Us proles.
What were we thinking?
What were we thinking? So, Kate, question to you then, because we know that all the Wall Street people and those that were affected, the hedge fund traders, etc., that love to short businesses, they were themselves shitting car parts. So are they going to go, or have they already gone and are in the process of going to the FEC and getting some kind of a rule or a regulation or a law which would not allow this to happen in the future? Because you can't have the puny people rising up and making money, because if they did it once, they're going to do it again, Kate.
You know, I see that happening. I do. If Trump were in office, no, I do not see it happening. Now that the Democrats think that they have control, I see it happening, because you're correct. I'm not going to admit that you're right, because you're man, and men are not right.
Right, thank you.
You are correct. They do not want us peasants to gain anything, because if we do, oh my God, it might go to our head.
That's right.
We might want more, just like them.
And as anybody who's anybody knows, us menses we're gonna cock it up like nobody's business. So tell you what, got about 15 minutes left. I want to back focus a little bit on leftist speech, much of it right out of 1984. Now, I told you, Kate, and I think maybe Jeremy, that one of the big things that I wanted to do was I wanted to read the entire book, 1984, on the air so people could come here and listen to the book. Until I found out, depending upon which country you're in, either 1984, it's out of copyright in the UK, but apparently it's still under copyright here in the United States, and I can't do that. But having mentioned 1984, by the way...
but you can.
How can I? How can I?
If you have written permission from the publisher.
Okay, there are a number of publishers. I'd have to probably go to the original copyright owner, because George Orwell, which is the pen name of Eric Arthur Blair, has been dead for 70 years now or so. He died at the age of 46. By the way, folks, is
there not a rule or a law or something that if they've been dead for longer than like 15 years or something like that, that their work can be used?
Funny you should mention that.
If I remember, I know it is funny.
It is funny. Well, not that kind of funny. Not exactly that kind of funny. But I went and researched a lot of this stuff and discovered that copyright laws vary by country. And I looked into the copyright of 1984 and discovered that in the U.S., if I were to do something like that, I would be subjecting myself to a suit. Speaking of 1984, folks, like I said, if you haven't read the book, quick like a bunny, go out and get a copy of that. What an incredible disservice you're doing to yourself if you haven't. So let's go to AOC, otherwise known as Sandy Cortez. So Sandy Cortez happened to say something recently that we need to hear, because anything that she says is vitally important.
I actually sense a profound difference between the Republican caucus of last term, the 115th Congress, and the Republican caucus of this term that we are now, a few weeks into at this point. And that difference was that it really felt that last term, the Republican caucus was one of extreme fealty to Donald Trump. There were some that were true believers, others that simply remained quiet out of cowardice and out of fear of the president's retribution. But this term, there are legitimate white supremacist sympathizers that sit at the heart and at the core of the Republican caucus in the House of Representatives. Right. And when you see someone like the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy of the Republican Party, respond to white supremacist vitriol coming from his own members, not with censure like they did with Representative Steve King of Iowa, not with, being stripped of committees, not with any consequence. You have to wonder where.
Oh, you mean like Eric Swalwell wasn't stripped of his Intelligence Committee presence after screwing Fing Fang.
Who actually has that power? And it increasingly seems, unfortunately,
Fing Fang. I think I had either a cat or a goldfish named Fing Fang.
That in the House Republican caucus, Kevin McCarthy answers to these QAnon members of Congress, not
she said caucus,
the other way around. And that is something that, frankly, needs to be said. He said he was going to pull Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene aside after, her comments to Parkland activists and comments saying that Muslim Americans should not fully and freely serve in the House, that they must be forced to swear on a Bible, etc. But I've seen Kevin McCarthy pull someone aside before for a talking to. And that representative that I last saw him do that to was Representative Ted Yoho of Florida.
Yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
And what Kevin McCarthy did was that he pulled him aside to essentially excuse his behavior, to allow it and to abet it. And actually, Kevin McCarthy's lack of holding his own caucus accountable is one major reason why I went to the floor last year to hold Yoho accountable myself. And
Yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
So when I hear that Representative McCarthy is going to pull a member aside who has made white supremacist sympathizing comments, the thing that I think is, what is he going to tell them?
Okay, AOC, names and specifics. Oh, you don't have names and specifics. Why aren't you naming them? Name them and shame them. Why aren't you?
Keep it up. Because there are no consequences in the Republican caucus for violence. There's no consequence.
Oh, really? So that's why Trump is still president.
Talk about violence. Oh, my gosh. Where did this woman come from?
She's a nutcase. I'd love to. She came from a bar. She was a bartender. My God, can you, Kate Kruzewski, think how close I could have come at the Saloon to hiring her?
Oh my gosh! Did she lose all of her marbles and now she only has one left and it's rattling around in there?
It is. She's got the standard brainulous Mark I Model 1 coup contra coup injury up in her wheelhouse. It's got to be. She has she's got to have NSCB, which is non-specific cranial buzzing.
Racism, no consequences for misogyny,
Come on, you've heard of NSCB, right?
Consequences for insurrection.
I've had NSCB for years now, non-specific cranial buzzing.
And no consequences means that they condone it. It means that silence is acceptance, and they want it.
Okay, stop. Let me say this again because she brought it up. You brought it up. You opened the door. I'm going to walk through. Silence is violence. Speech is violence. Presence is violence. Words are violence. Thoughts are violence. Actual Antifa violence, that's not violence.
Because they know that it is a core animating political energy for them. And this is extremely dangerous, an extremely dangerous threshold that we have crossed, because we are now away from acting out of fealty to their president that they had in the Oval Office. And now we are talking about fealty to white supremacist organizations as a political tool.
Okay, I've had just about all I can take of her. So, do you understand what she is saying?
No. I am, but I don't want to. She's, oh my God.
I know. Like Leslie Holker. I have sympathy for Leslie Holker in chat, who said, great, now I'm going to have to sleep with a headache like that. So, as I've said before any number of times, folks, I speak leftist. That's why you come and listen to me. That's why I'm here. I speak leftist, so I'll translate. This is a quote. For the roughly 100 million Americans of all colors who overwhelmingly voted for Trump, you are all white supremacists, because labeling you that way allows me to depersonalize you and then allows me to advocate for your removal and then your complete extinction. It's the terrible black, Hispanic, Asian, white supremacists that are Trump supporters, voters, and conservatives who are responsible, obviously, for everything that's bad and evil and terror-oriented in the United States today. Kate, did you know you're a terrorist? You're an extremist.
I wear the badge proudly.
That's funny. That's what I said at the beginning of the show. 35 feet away, though, from the nation's capital. Quote, it's a war zone. D.C.'s gun violence takes toll on locals' mental health. Data from the district's government and police shows almost 200 people have died from gun violence in the nation's capital in 2020. The last time D.C. experienced a higher murder rate was 16 years ago, according to the Metropolitan Police Department. The violence of 2020 was capped by this. On December 3rd, a gunman shot and killed a 15-month-old named Carmelo Duncan as he sat in the back seat of his father's car in a kid's seat. The Metropolitan Police Department has yet to catch Duncan's killer. That's the real violence. That's the real terror. That's the terror living in Washington, D.C. Now, I already sent this to you guys earlier, but I'm going to say it here. Jeremy or you, I don't remember which one, KATE KRUZEWSKI, sent a video to me about Joe Rogan. And I was incensed that he was incensed. And basically he got incensed over what they're doing with bills in D.C. And basically what I said was, Joe Rogan, you're upset about what's happening in D.C. with regard to bills. You are just now cluing in to how bills are made. Seriously, are you that stupid? Oh, I've never heard of this before. It's because of ignorant morons like you, Joe Rogan, who apparently you never seem to care how the sausage was made until you finally entered the factory for a 2-minute tour. You haven't seen a fraction of the factory, and that's on purpose. You want to know why Democrats and some Republicans were shitting car parts when the Capitol was invaded? I'll tell you why. Because they were afraid that it was an actual coordinated effort instead of the stupid, bumbling assault on the building by a horned Chewbacca man and a host of other stupid morons. If they entered the Capitol, they deserved to go to jail, including Brandon Strzok. What did they think would happen? But more specifically, here's why Congress is scared shitless. Number one, and if you've ever had this happen to you folks, or Kate, you know how you feel. It's like being burglarized. It is extremely personal. Crime is personal. And you feel violated. They've never felt that before. And it scared them. Number two, they actually experienced just a modicum of consequences for their actions. That's something American taxpayers suffer every day for not abiding by cavalier or capricious rules. You know, like not wearing a mask, or not closing a business for no reason, or not paying taxes. Al Sharpton. Number three, they realize it. They're not going to tell you. They came this close to having their secrets involving corruption revealed. There were guaranteed computers, notes, indicia to be obtained from all of them if you knew where to look. Things that would reveal them and their acidic, caustic, deadly daily deals where they profit while America is bent over, backstabbed, betrayed, and sodomized. The unwashed, you 200 unwashed rabble, you were actually in the inner sanctum, but you were too stupid to do what the empty suits thought you could do or were there to do. Expose them. One day those empty suits they're going to revile. This is a promise. One day those empty suits are going to revile even their personal protectors. It's already started. The National Guardsmen are now in question. They're white supremacists. So Rogan is shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Wake up, Rogan. Wake up, America. It's almost already too late. Kate Kruzewski, again, thank you for being co-host tonight. Tell people where they can find you. You weren't on tonight because you had some other things to do, and your producer had some other things to do, but you'll be on Sunday. So Kate Kruzewski, tell people what's going to happen on Sunday, your show, where it can be heard, and how and when.
My topic for Sunday night's show is Paul Harvey.
Oh,
and yes.
Nice.
And you can find me on publicstreamingnetwork.com or psn-tv.com. Just follow. I mean, there's big icons there. The live show, you can click on that. It is also a call-in show, so you can click on the big Skype number, and if you have Skype, it'll take you to the call-in portion of the show, and you can call in and you can talk to me directly. And at 8 o'clock on Thursdays and Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 7 o'clock Central Time and 5 o'clock Western Time, or over there, Pacific Time.
Okay, that one. Or it's 1749 and 723.2 subsector 4, Groot Cluster 5, Drawer 2, subparagraph 3 in Bolivian time, because I could never figure out Bolivian time. It's just kind of weird that way. So, Kate Kruzewski, thank you for being here tonight, madame.
Thank you for asking me. It was an honor. I had a good time.
It was an honor, too, and I had a great time. So...
Monsieur has unlocked!
Meet again, don't know where, don't know when. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, I am very active on Twitter, @bzap@bzep. And also on bloviatingzeppelin.net. That's my website. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and also by the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also by Pratt & Whitney Engines Thrust.
To the folks that I know,
you can trust. As per normal, my tiaras are by My Little Pony. My favorite part is coming. You ready? Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle 1 refueling team, with whom I will be consorting in less than 2 hours. So, folks, thank you ever so kindly for listening live. Kate, thank you for being here. Thanks for being live in chat. Thanks for listening in podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, for taking the time out of your busy day. Have a great weekend. God bless. Good night. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.